Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them. And I read a stack today, y'all. It has been a very long day, so sorry that the video is a little bit later than usual, but better late than never. And we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week, Universal Monsters, Phantom of the Opera, issue number 2. I'll go ahead and let you know, first and foremost, I am a huge Universal Monsters fan. I'm a huge fan of the story, The Phantom of the Opera, all of the different adaptations, all of the different interpretations, especially the 1943 version starring Claude Rains, and that's what this is. It's kind of a more creepy, atmospheric interpretation, adaptation of that 1943 Universal classic Phantom of the Opera. I love this, seriously. So that the original Lon Chaney Sr. movie has creepiness and atmosphere, but they wanted to make another one, right, with sound, with music in 1943 starring Claude Rains, and it was going to be more grandiose and more flamboyant and fantastic and just beautiful and elegant in the sets, designs, and all that stuff, and it truly was. But this is kind of like a marriage of the eerie, creepy atmosphere and disturbing qualities of the Lon Chaney version and the more grandiose, epic, operatic, and elegant notions from the Claude Rains version. And it works so well. It's written by Tyler Boss, who absolutely nails it. It's not a full-on reinterpret or retelling of the story, but it kind of is. It's not trying to play around. It's just giving us the story of the Phantom of the Opera with beautiful artwork. And Martin Simmons is singing in the pages here of Phantom of the Opera. And I guess that pun was not quite intended, but even just, you can visually see the singing or feel the singing. That's what I should say. Visually is conveying the feeling of the song, of the singing, and also of the horror. Great layouts, great grit, great texture, and like I said, just an absolute perfect atmosphere for this book. Creepy, morbid, shocking. Not shocking, it's not shocking. We all know this story. Being hyperbolic, time to move on. That's the pick of the week. All right, also from Image, we have White Sky issue number 2. White Sky issue number 1 was a big book when it released last month, kind of started spiking on the aftermark. I think that's kind of cooled down, and I haven't heard a lot of interest in issue number 2 of White Sky. Now, issue number 1 of White Sky was fine. It kind of felt like your typical, like, father and daughter out there in a post-apocalyptic world, but I guess this world is, something has happened, the sky's turned white, and now the world is this haunted landscape of ghosts. So it's like a zombie post-apocalyptic story, but instead of ghosts, instead of zombies, they're ghosts. I guess that's the gist. I don't know. I didn't really get a lot of that in issue number 1. In issue number 2, there's not a lot of meat on the bone here either, but I do think that the pacing definitely improves, and the artwork is actually really solid on this book. So the pacing of the comic book, the way it flows from page to page, the line work, the characters work, like the character work with the emotions and stuff like that on the faces, that all works. It's got some nice moments. We just haven't dived enough into this world, into these characters to really get a good footing on what's going on. But I do think that this technically was an improvement upon issue number 1. I think I just want a little bit more meat on that bone. Then we have Feral here with issue number 21. This is a fantastic issue of Feral. Most issues of Feral are incredibly solid, fantastic, pick of the week worthy, pick of the year worthy, great stuff. This issue, beyond exception, because one of the cool things about this is it's a nod of sorts to G.I. Joe Real American Hero, issue number 21, which is the classic silent Snake Eyes issue. It's one of the only G.I. Joe floppy issue comics I have in my collection because it's just that important to comics. So Feral number 21 is going to homage that and give us a silent issue of Feral. After the events of the previous arc, this focuses in on a cat kind of understanding their new surroundings, and it's incredibly well done. Shows off the power of comics, the significance of sequential storytelling, and delivers one of the most jaw-dropping surprises in my comic book reading life of the last several years. Absolutely loved it. Feral fans, you do not want to miss this. If you're a fan of Tony Fleece, Tone Rodriguez, and Trish Forstner like I am, definitely check it out. And look, nice cool horror movie homage cover to Don't Breathe, which is a movie I've not seen, and I had to ask someone for help in identifying what movie was being homaged by that. All right, then we got Hyde Street here with issue number 11. Hyde Street's not completely won me over out of all of the Ghost Machine books. I really do enjoy it. Jeff Johns, Ivan Reese. The work is amazing. Like, the artwork is really cool. And it's a horror book, but it didn't really quite click to me until issue number 11, kind of like what they're trying to do here. Or at least what I think they're trying to do. It's never really... There's something that clicked for me in this issue about how we're representing horror or the worst of humanity decade by decade. I don't know why I've never caught on to that, but today, because I had a lot of comic books to read and I didn't really get to read anything before, I just got back from MegaCon, had a great time. So if I saw you in MegaCon Station, I had a great time. It was fun. That being said, I was like, you know what? We're not going to rush through. We're just going to sit down and try to enjoy these books. And I, for the most part, did, including Hyde Street, because it really kind of clicked something in. Also, we're starting this Butcher of Hyde Street story, which is also now giving us a lot more context into the mystery of Hyde Street and the characters that populate Hyde Street. This, I think, was one of my favorite issues of the series. Why? Because they go to 11. Why not? Then we got Void Rivals here, issue number 28, part 4 of 6 of the Quintesson War. Quintesson War. Quintesson? The Quintesson War. The Quintesson. The Quintesson. The Quintesson War. Yes, that's what's going on in the pages of Void Rival. Lots of action, lots of big things. Void Rivals is one that not my interest, but my I don't know, I'm becoming a little unanchored from Void Rivals just a little bit. Like, I'm liking the book, I'm enjoying it, but it's hard for me to get back into the flow of, who are these people? Where are we? Oh, that's right, it's happening. It feels like every time I'm reading an issue of Void Rivals in the last few months, I'm kind of having to remind myself of what came before. You know what that means? Time for a reread. Maybe time for one of those, Energon Universe 2 years in, check. Maybe I could reread through, all the first 2 years of Transformers and Void Rivals and Joe and do like a little report here. Would you like to see that? Also from Robert Kirkman, though, we got Capes issue number 5. This is previously printed material. There's going to be one more issue of previously printed material of Capes that was printed, I guess, back in the 2000s, maybe early 2010s when Invincible was going on. But this is set in the world of Invincible. And one more issue of issue of non-original material, blah, 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 blah. So one more issue of unoriginal material. It is original material. It's just previously published. One more issue of that, then we go into all new content. Anyway, that being said, I've never really dived into the world of Invincible. I've only read like the first 12 or so issues of the original series. That being said, I am loving Battle Beast, and I've been enjoying Capes. It's like silly superhero fare, but I love this Chronodial character who's like this big giant Egyptian crocodile Kang type time master or something. And this book's got some really wild bits in it and some violent action and some interesting ways in displaying that in comedic fashion, and then even actually raising the stakes at the end of the issue. And I'm transfixed. I mean, I'm loving Battle Beast. I'm loving Capes. I guess it's time to do Invincible and just go through it and just read it all. No excuses, right? Would you like to see me read all of Invincible? Talk about it on the channel. Also from Robert Kirkman, we got Skinbreaker issue number 7. Skinbreaker, if you want to talk about it as a story, it's a typical story. It's something you've seen before. It's like, it's like about like the battle of the ages, right, in a tribe or something, right? So it's about this leader of a tribe who's gotten too old now to lead his tribe, and a younger guy, young upstart, is coming over. He's got to battle this dude to take over the tribe, but the tribe's got to change. They got to evolve, and they should have listened to this older elder maybe a little bit more thoroughly and kind of took seriously what he was saying. They're starting to realize that, and the series, so the story is good. It is solid, right? The story is solid, but it's the artwork. This book is about the artwork. This is the best David Finch book I personally have ever read. It is big. It is detailed. It is textured. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is a beautiful, beautiful book. Absolutely is. Something about the lettering, a little scrunched up there for some reason. Feels a little scrunched up and thin. Talking about the balloons themselves. I don't know why that just slightly bothers me a little bit. But decent, average story, solid art, best of career art from David Finch. All right, then we got The Department of Truth with issue number 36. I was like so excited. I was like, oh my goodness, we got 2 Martin Simmons books this week. Now, this one's got artwork by Ben Templesmith, and it's fine, and it gets the job done, but it does lose that magnificent, opulent quality of just what I love about Martin Simmons' artwork, but I can't complain too much because it does get the job done, and it does so in a different, interesting way, unlike your typical comic book, and that is something I come to expect from any fill-in artist on the Department of Truth. So we're diving into a new character, is their connections to older characters, and setting up a very interesting mystery here. So I wouldn't say that this is a great jumping on point for the Department of Truth. Not at all. The best jumping on point, the only jumping on point, is issue number 1. But I love this book. It's about the idea that consensus belief creates consensus reality. The more people believe something to be true, the more reality changes so that it is. What happens when the 2 biggest powers in the government at the time, which this is also exploring not just conspiracy theories, it's an American history, geopolitical history, very much anchored into the 20th century and early 21st century, but not just about that. It goes back a little bit further into ancient lore and stuff like that. But once these governments find out what happens when the Soviet Union and the United States of America decide to weaponize and utilize the idea behind the book. It's really fascinating stuff to me. I've loved this book all the way through. Most of it is usually just people explaining things. That's what's going on here. But the way it's tied into the history of 20th century war and the media, that's what we're dealing with here in the pages of issue number 36 of Department of Truth, and I'm loving it. Then we got Death Fight Forever issue number 2. I liked issue number 1. I liked issue number 2 even better. This is just silly, big, dumb fun. It's kind of like an old school 80s video game. It's got this cool, psychedelic kind of flair to it with the coloring. The artwork is done by, is it Alex Ziret? I absolutely love, is it Alex? Alexis Ziret. I have a few of his other books, and I've never really dived too much into them, but the art's always freaking cool. It's violent, it's silly, it's big, dumb fun. If you like your books delightfully indie with that 80s video game cheese to it, definitely check it out. But if you like your books delightfully 90s and 90s video game cheese, check out Final Boss. Final Boss is here with issue number 5, which is the final issue of the first arc of Final Boss. This is written and illustrated by Tyler Kirkham, and this is just big dumb fun in a different way. So this is more for like people that like underground artwork and just gnarly weird things that are like wonky. This is for people that love Top Cow in the 90s. Like if you love Top Cow in the 90s, you're going to love this book because it feels like a relic of 1997 from a comic shop, dingy somewhere, shoved in the back. Nobody reads it except for like you feel. It's one of those books. It's not life-changing. It's not great. It's just dumb. It's just like a fighting game. He's like on a tournament. He's got this crazy history. It's all redundant. It's all silly. It's all very derivative, but it's also pretty freaking fun and nostalgic feeling to me. So I rather like it. All right, then we got Gunslinger Spawn here with issue number 52. A decent issue of Gunslinger Spawn, starting to tie the story a little bit more into the Spawn proper mainline and what's going on with the resurrection of Malbolgia and all that kind of stuff. This dude's after Gunslinger Spawn. He's got a new sidekick. He's trying to heal from a car wreck that just happened. Meanwhile, he's got to fight this big dude. And it's just a solid, fun issue. I liked it. Gunslinger Spawn has been, to me, the most improved Spawn book post-Spawn 350. Now, we got a lot of things changing in the world of Spawn, including Todd McFarlane kind of stepping back from writing for a while. And we got Matthew Rosenberg announced to come on and do Spawn and King Spawn. Other books, haven't noticed any announcements. But man, very excited to see what's going to be happening in the pages of the Spawn books in the coming months. Let's jump over to DC. We got a rather large one today. And from DC, we have Superman Spider-Man issue number 1. It's a one-shot comic book, not to be confused with the upcoming all-new, all-spectacular Spider-Man Superman. That's the Marvel-published one. That's going to be dropping in a few weeks. Here we got the DC one, Superman Spider-Man. And we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the original Marvel DC character crossover, Superman Spider-Man. So also don't confuse that one with this, but that would be impossible because that book's like giant. This book's not giant, but it does still have a nice feel of celebrating these two iconic characters that are two of the most recognizable fictional characters across the globe. And that's exciting, right? And that's cool. And that's what this should be, is it should be a celebration of Superman, Spider-Man, how iconic they are, and how iconic the worlds that have been created around them are. And that's exactly what this one was. So when Marvel and DC started playing nice again last year, and they decided they would do these crossovers, they did Deadpool, Batman first, the Marvel published crossover. It was aight. Then they did the DC version, which was Batman Deadpool, and I thought that was a step up for certain, but not that great. This felt like what I was expecting. This is something I really like. The main story is written by Mark Waid with artwork by Jorge Jimenez. The artwork is amazing. You know Jimenez, you know his work. Seeing him draw Superman and Spider-Man together against Dr. Octopus and Brainiac, that was great. Then the next, so that's the main story, and then that's like, you know, a 25-something page issue or story. And then you got a bunch of backup stories. Tom King and Jim Lee do one focused on Lois Lane and Mary Jane. And you get some cool Jim Lee drawing some Gambit, which we haven't seen in a while. So that was really, really cool. Then you've got a nifty story by Christopher Priest and Daniel Samperi, which is around the black costume era of Spider-Man. It's a crossover with him and Superboy Prime, so it's very meta. But then you got a big treat, Sean Gordon Murphy doing a Spider-Man 2099 and Superboy from the Legion of Superheroes era. That's super freaking cool, seeing Sean Gordon Murphy get to play around in that world. And then one of the biggest treats in this entire thing is the Matt Fraction, Steve Lieber, Jimmy Olsen, and Carnage crossover. It's like ridiculous, and it's funny, and it's along the same vein and line of it's in the same vein as their Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen comic book, which I think is very much underappreciated. Then you got Rafael Sandoval and Jeff Lemire doing a Uncle Ben and Pa Kent story. They had their own little crossover at some point. Then you got one where it's like J. Jonah Jameson and Lois Lane debating superheroes or something, but it's Greg Rucka and Nicola Scott, and that was solid. And then a highlight, and really unexpected, but Gail Simone and Belene Ortega do a Power Girl Punisher story that out of nowhere, and very low-key, might be one of the best stories in this issue. Seriously. It was really good. I liked it. I liked all the stories. I thought this was good. This was pretty solid. All right, we got some Absolute books this week. We got Absolute Wonder Woman, issue number 18. We're continuing the Season of the Witch story. Veronica Cale has sent her Wonder Woman Revenge Squad out after Wonder Woman, led by Zatanna, but there's been some developments with that. We're developing that more fully here in the pages of issue number 18, kind of learning more about Zatanna, how she's going to work that personality, that conflict with Diana. We're seeing more of that. But I really like this issue, exploring that. You also got Giganta involved and Dr. Poison. Diana's screwed up. She's got to go get some help. We got some flashbacks. We got amazing artwork, including brilliant, innovative, and interesting and original textured paneling and composition from Hayden Sherman. Beautiful stuff. Another super solid issue of Absolute Wonder Woman. Absolute Martian Manhunter here with issue number 10. This was almost pick of the week. It really was. If I wasn't such a mark for Phantom of the Opera, and Martin Simmons, I don't know. This was almost pick of the week. This really almost was. This was a great issue too. Psychedelic noir is what they're doing in the pages of Absolute Martian Manhunter. It's crazy, it's wild, it's zany, it's unlike many superheroes. It's definitely unlike almost any mainstream superhero book you've ever read. I would say that it's its own thing, okay? But like it's a little bit like Pete Milligan and Chris Bachalo on Shade, The Changing Man, a little bit of Grant Morrison's The Invisibles. It's a little bit of all of that kind of thrown together into a stew. A little bit of Rick Veitch ideas, like some Veitchisms in there. All pull it out, then just make it all truly, truly Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez, and you just wind up with Absolute Martian Manhunter, which is absolutely one of the absolute zaniest and craziest books on shelves right now. This is beautiful. This is amazing stuff. It's got layers of metaphor. It's got layers in the artwork. It's got so many things going for it with the visual cues, the use of color, the use of, like I said, metaphor, and just, it's such a sophisticated book that's really trying to do something experimental and innovative and pushing forward, but at the same time anchored in what I think superhero comic books should be for the most part, which is fun. Fun first, and then we can play around with some stuff. This book is crazy. I love this book. It's absolutely great. Then we got Green Lantern, issue number 33, aka Green Lantern, issue number 600. So let's celebrate Green Lantern, issue number 600, with a new fresh start for the run, even though we had this fresh start kind of just take off in the last issue. Hal Jordan is leaving space to go on a special mission. He's leaving Kyle Rayner in charge of protecting the Earth as the Earth's Green Lantern. So we're focused back on Kyle Rayner. But this issue is a celebration of both Kyle Rayner and Hal Jordan, and I really like that. So it's set up Kyle Rayner back in LA. It's a reestablishment of him as a character, his place in LA as a setting, and his mission as a member of the GL Corps and what he's trying to do. So it's a great jumping on point for that. It also, like a great milestone issue used to do, and sometimes I still think should do, it gives us a retelling of Kyle Rayner's origin as well as Hal Jordan's origin and setting that up. And then, if that wasn't enough, how about bring in Kyle Rayner's creators, who did a very long run with the character, Ron Mars and Daryl Banks, on to do a little story at the end just to say, hey, that's awesome. So this was a good issue of Green Lantern. Then we have a great issue of Superman. Issue number 36 starts the Superboy primetime story, part of the reign of the Superboys. Superman has gone missing post-DCKO. We are now in the post-DCKO DC world, and I love how everything is like starting a new storyline, a new direction, and it's all like great jumping on points, including here, even if you haven't been reading Joshua Williamson's run on Superman, jump in here because the reign of the Superboys is going across all the Superman titles. They're all focusing in on a different Superboy, right? So like in Supergirl, you got the little Thunder Kid or whatever is going to become, Magog or whatever. Spoilers if you haven't read that stuff in World's Finest from a few years ago, but it was actually really good. Dan Moore drew it. You should check it out. I think that kid's name is Thunder. Maybe Boy Thunder. Maybe there's a different name. I don't know. Anyway, it's about him and Connor in that book. Then you got Superboy, like Clark Kent, Kal-El Superboy in Action Comics with some timey-wimey stuff going on there. And then, what was the other one? I just read it last week. What was the other one? I can't remember. What's the other Superman book? Superman Unlimited. That one's about Jonathan Kent. He's going through some crazy things. This one's about Superboy Prime, trying to, let's be a good guy. Let's be a hero And it's so meta, and it's so exactly what Superboy Prime is. A lot of people find this character annoying. I never did. I've always loved this character. Ever since I first read Crisis and was introduced to him, I was like, what the hell is this? This is awesome. And then in Infinite Crisis, that was crazy. And then the usages of this character all the way through into the most recent DC event, DCKO, and now here. All right, so you got Dan Mora back on the artwork. You got him and writer Joshua Williamson infusing a new sense of energy and enthusiasm and direction into the book. And man, I'm having so much fun with it. This might be my favorite issue of Joshua Williamson and Dan Mora's Superman. It just might be. It might be my favorite issue of it just might be. It just might be. I think it is my favorite issue of Joshua Williamson's Superman. It's really good. Then we got Justice League Unlimited, issue number 17. Once again, starting a new story, post-DCKO. And post-DCKO, there's some things that the Justice League is having to deal with, including the fact that they have all these villains in the Phantom Zone. Some of them are starting to get pissy because they're like, yo, we could have helped you, but you locked all of us up here. So now they're trying to figure out, should we have a system where supervillains can work towards amnesty and maybe eventually become a member of the Justice League? So we're playing around with that. A lot of fallout, a lot of aftermath from DCKO is really being focused in on here. We know that Mark Waid, along with others like Joshua Williamson, like Scott Snyder, they're like architects of the DC universe and the direction and where it's going. So definitely a book that we'll be paying attention to see how we're getting to our next crisis, which I'm pretty certain is going to be called Absolute Crisis. I'm pretty sure that was the idea at the end of DCKO. I feel like it's not spoilery to say that. We always know another crisis. Hey, we always know another crisis is on the way. Here's another spoiler. After the next crisis, wait a few years, I bet there's going to be another. Then we got Detective Comics here with 1107. Tom Taylor starting his third or fourth arc. I don't remember, but Tom Taylor's been doing solid job on Detective Comics. I've liked it. This issue, it was all right. It lost a little bit of its momentum. This is that post-DCKO, what are they calling it? Like, it's still called All In, but maybe there's like, I don't know, next level, right? We're leveling up or something like that. But this is about Gotham's new Trinity. So Green Arrow and Black Canary moved to Gotham because Black Canary is going to run Wildcat's boxing gym, his gymnasium, because he passed away in the few issues ago in Justice Society. So it makes a lot of sense, but it's mostly about them kind of reminiscing about being trained together by Ted, by Wildcat. And then there's like this mystery figure and this tragic past, somebody that Ollie and Dinah and Bruce knew is no longer with us. It's a mystery. I don't know, the setup here was a little bit weak, and the art's alright. It's Pete Woods, it's no Mikhail Hanin, so it's alright. It's just alright. It's just alright. That's what I would say. Then we got The Peril of the Brutal Dark, an Ezra Kane mystery, issue number 2, a DC Vertigo book written by Chris Condon with artwork by Jacob Phillips. I absolutely loved issue number 1. I absolutely treasure and adore issue number 2. I'm loving it. It's got film noir, detective 1940s kind of energy mixed and blended a little bit with like that Indiana Jones mysterious artifact, magical, supernatural type stuff, adventure, archaeology kind of feel. It's like playing both of those and playing them very well. It's very noirish. It's very Jacob Phillips and Chris Condon, and I think that their partnership together is just strengthening, and I loved issue number 1, and I absolutely loved issue number 2. It's exactly what I needed the story to do, exactly where I needed the art to go, and exactly how it should have been packaged, and where it should have started, middled, and end. It's where it should have started, middled, and end. We just used middled as a verb. Makes sense to me. All right, I just want to point out a facsimile. We got facsimiles of Dark Knight Returns, celebrating 40 years of Dark Knight Returns. We got issue number 2. It's available in foil with some other variants. I like the foil, so I get those. There's also a foil variant of a facsimile and a regular facsimile of Silver Surfer number 1, the John Buscema Silver Surfer number 1, which I left at the shop and didn't grab. Reminds me, we're about to jump over to Marvel. And from Marvel, we have Fantastic Four First Foes, issue number 1. This is set in the world of the MCU's Fantastic Four, and it's giving us the movie origin of the Mad Thinker. It's written by Dan Slott with artwork by Mark Buckingham. It's alright, and it's decent. You know, I am a fan of the Fantastic Four in general, just like my favorite comic book, and I am a fan of that movie. I definitely think it's the best Fantastic Four movie that we've ever gotten, outside of The Incredibles. But that being said, the book's not that great, but if you're a hardcore Fantastic Four fan and you like that movie, and you want to see what that world's version of the Mad Thinker would look like, check it out. It's not a bad origin, it's cool. This would make a fine animated series if they wanted to develop that world even better. But we also have the proper Fantastic Four here with issue number 9, written by Ryan North with artwork by Humberto Ramos. We are on like part 4 of the Invincible Woman story, which now I feel like I can talk about a little bit more fully, since a lot of this, I mean, it's been a few issues, we know what's going on. It's an alternate universe version of Susan Richards, who has leveled up her power set to such an insane degree. Like, we already know how badass Susan Richards is, especially like her level of power and what she's actually capable of. When you think about what her power set actually is, holy freaking cow. Let's level that up, throw in a dash of malice, and you get the Invincible Woman. She is going after the Fantastic Four for some reason. And, you know, I've been a little bit up and down on this book. It's not been my favorite Fantastic Four run, but I thought it's been decent. But, y'all, even though at the beginning of this Invincible Woman story, I wasn't sold on it, now I'm like, this is the... Ryan North is cooking right now on Fantastic Four, and this issue is proof of it. This issue was badass. Might be his best issue, in my opinion. Then we got Wolverine, Weapons of Armageddon, issue number 2, written by Chip Zdarsky. This one's got artwork from Maresca. First name, we'll eventually find it. But this is a bit of the road to Armageddon. So we just got the announcement, Avengers Armageddon is going to be Marvel's big summer blockbuster event. Chip Zdarsky is writing it. He's been building up to it in the pages of Captain America and now Wolverine, Weapons of Armageddon. So the whole premise, right, is like the Weapon Plus program, of which Steve Rogers is a super soldier. Weapon X, where Wolverine got his adamantium skeleton and got turned into just, you know, a mindless, controlled animal and a weapon, right? That was part of that super soldier program, like, but just generations later, people are still trying to make super soldiers, and that's what Chip's building up in the pages of Captain America and here as well. You got Nuke from the Daredevil Born Again story. Wolverine, they've got a history. There's elements being folded in from Chip's first 5 issues of Captain America here, and I think it's working. It's working. Marvel Universe, some of it's starting to feel cohesive to me and connected and building tissue. And it's not just Chip Zdarsky, it's other writers doing other things that we'll be talking about here in just a minute. But Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon I thought was better than issue number 1. I thought it was solid. I thought it was intriguing. So color me intrigued by what Zdarsky's going to do with Avengers Armageddon. Then we got The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 25, which is actually the 5th part of Death Spiral, which is a crossover between Amazing Spider-Man and Venom. It is a true crossover where the stories go from one chapter to the next, but it is thrown between different creators, including Joe Kelly, Charles Soule, and Al Ewing. Al Ewing's writing Venom. Charles Soule's writing some of the Amazing Spider-Man ones because they're focusing in on the Eddie Brock Carnage character. Joe Kelly's writing the other ones that are mostly focused in on Spider-Man, I guess. This one, it's an alright issue. The artwork by Ed McGuinness, I absolutely love. This story has not been bad. It's been okay. This one, though, I don't know. This one just didn't quite work for me because it really kind of focused in on all of the elements that I don't like about the symbiotes right now, like that Eddie Brock and Carnage are, like Eddie Brock is Carnage and that Mary Jane is Venom, and I know, old man screaming at the clouds, that's fine. If you dig it, I appreciate that, I'm glad you do. I don't, but I was intrigued by the story, then I got reminded why I don't like the state of the symbiotes right now. But the art was really nice. It was really nice. Then we got The Punisher here with issue number 2. Benjamin Percy, think this dude's going to do a really solid job on the Punisher. He just wrapped up the Red Band series. It leads right into this one. Artwork by Jose Luis Suarez. Really solid artwork, too. I really like it. Very appropriate for a Punisher book, right? So Punisher's just been mind-controlled by an implant that was implanted into him by the Kingpin. I wonder why I don't win awards anymore. Anyway, but that being said, he has the implant removed, but he's been going through these like seizures and these like mental breaks or something. He's trying to figure out what's going on, right? Plus he's got Micro, who was kidnapped and tortured and beaten and forced to work with Kingpin, and Frank's not treating him very well, but like needs his help. I'm really liking it. I think old school Punisher fans, I think you're going to like it. I don't know. Some of you old school Punisher fans might find something to gripe about in this issue. But I don't think so. I think that would be silly, honestly. Then we got Iron Man here with issue number 3. Really solid issue of Iron Man. I am a fan of the character. I want to read Iron Man and be plugged into the ongoing ironcladded adventures of Tony Stark and his world. And Joshua Williamson and Carmen Carnero have been giving me exactly what I've been wanting. This is one of those books that I was talking about that's really starting to make me feel the connected tissues of the Marvel comic book universe right now. There's a science war going on since the end of One World Under Doom, and that fallout goes into things like Dungeons of Doom, and then into the Captain America run, and into Weapons of Armageddon, and even here into Iron Man, which really is, I love that, right? So I love that. I also love that Joshua Williamson is giving us a story that's focused in on classic Iron Man villains. We got Madame Mask, we've got MODOK, we got these characters already 3 issues in. It's about the power struggle of AIM, and then Tony finding a new love interest. Why? Because that's what Tony does every time a new creative team comes in to take over the book. This feels cool. I like it. I think it's re-energized Iron Man for me, and it's got me even more re-energized to trust more about what we might be potentially building within the Marvel Universe. But you know what? I take it all with a grain of salt. A good comic doesn't a great vision for a publisher make one single comic, but it takes more than just one single, is what I'm saying. Knull is here with issue number 3. This is a weird issue of Knull. This is an issue of Knull people are either going to roll their eyes and scoff at, or they're going to be like, what the hell just happened in this issue of Knull? Knull is a miniseries written by Al Ewing with, I think he's got a co-writer on this one, but who is his co-writer? Is it Tom Waltz? Or is that, man, why did they hide? Why did they hide the damn credits? Put them in the front. Put them in the front. Let me go. See, this is boring. See, Marvel, because you decided not to put them in the front or the very back, I'm trying to figure out who the creative team is. You don't put the full name in all the books. Where is the credits? I'm going through this whole book and I'm not seeing any credits. Are you serious? Where were the credits? Whatever. People have worked on this book. Waltz, Ramirez, Arseniga, and Al Ewing. Anyway, this is an Knull book. Knull is no longer the King in Black. Hela is the Queen in Black. So we're building that up. Thanos is working for Hela. Thanos is sent after Knull. So this is a Knull versus Thanos bout. And I don't really want to dive any more into it than that, but I've been liking Knull. I wasn't anticipating liking this book because I haven't been liking Al Ewing's work on Venom, but I do like this Knull book. And since I've been reading, I've read all of Immortal Thor, I've read all of Immortal Thor. There's a video for members on the channel about that. It's going to drop to everybody soon. And I'm caught up on Mortal Thor, and I'm liking what Al Ewing's doing with Thor, and I like the potential of how Hela, her involvement in this book, and then knowing that that's connected to all the Asgardian stuff, not fully yet, but like I can see, I could see that there's ideas formulating out there, trying to actually build into earned comic book events and storylines. Potential. I like this book. I think this book, you're either going to roll your eyes like, whatever, or you're going to be like, what? And it's going to be a big deal. I'm curious to see how fandom's going to react to that issue. All right, then we got Dungeons of Doom issue number 3. This is it's a decent enough story. It's just setting up new mysteries, new things, new threads for the Marvel Universe post One World Under Doom. The basic premise is that now that Doom has been taken out of power and is gone, everybody's trying to plunder the weapons and technology and sorcery and artifacts and all that stuff of Victor Von Doom. And this is a series of short stories. It's basically just, it's Phil Kennedy Johnson, Benjamin Percy building into things. There are things that are going to be used. Some Red Hulk stuff in particular probably going to be utilized moving forward into the Armageddon event, because Red Hulk's very much centric in that event. And other things I think are just going to develop and blossom into other series and other ideas and things like that. But it's all right. It's just all right. Then we got Uncanny X-Men here with issue number 25. Solid issue of Uncanny X-Men. This current story arc where you had all these like Marvel monster characters versus the X-Men, I like that, especially the Dave Marquez artwork. Really solid stuff there. But then you got this framing device where like the outliers, the kids that they're protecting now, or training I should say, that they're being read a bedtime story that's Rawhide Kids, like a Rawhide Kid story. I didn't like any of that bit. But it finally they finally get through that bit to then bring the stories together and focus in on the wolf, on monsters versus the X-Men. And I really like this issue. The artwork's really solid, and there is a werewolf Wolverine in this book. Wolverine got bit by a werewolf last issue, and pretty solid stuff. I was trying to find it. I wanted to show it to you, because I've already told you there's a werewolf Wolverine in here. So why not just show it to you now? Because it's pretty badass. But if I can't find the credit page there, what makes me think that I'm going to be able to find a werewolf Wolverine here? Found the credit page. That's pretty cool. Yep. Trust me, Wolverine's a werewolf, and it's pretty cool. He actually looks cute. Where he is? Oh, there he is. Look at that. Looks kind of cute. Marvel Legends. Marvel Legends. Werewolf Wolverine. You tell me that Marvel Legends doesn't want to come up with another excuse to make another Wolverine figure, and that we don't want to buy a werewolf Wolverine figure? I would. Psylocke Ninja issue number 3. This is a series focused in on the era when Psylocke had taken over Quanon's body, right? When Betsy Braddock had taken over Quanon's body, it's developing, or it's dealing with the aftermath of that. So it's her and Jubilee and Wolverine in a Matropor adventure here. It's good. It's solid. It's putting her on a path to Elektra, right? It's putting her on a path to Elektra, and I'm really excited for that. I'm a big mark for Psylocke. I think the book is just okay. If you're a hardcore Psylocke fan, check it out. If you're like not, I mean, you could check it out, but I don't know if it's going to do too much for you. Then we got Marvel Knights, The Punisher, The World to Come. I don't know if they still call it that. Is it Punisher, Marvel Knights, The World to Come? Is it Marvel Knights, The Punisher, World to Come? Is it The World to Come? Punisher, Marvel Knights. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, this is the final issue of this series, written by Jimmy Palmiotti, with artwork by Dan Panosian, and I've loved it. It has a very similar story to the Red Band Punisher, right? So the Red Band Punisher story was the Kingpin puts an implant in Frank Castle's head so we can control him and manipulate him into doing what he wants him to do. This is the same thing here, but it's not Kingpin, it's like this drug lord, and he's doing it instead of an implant, it's like a drug. Right? But it's got Everett K. Ross in it. It's tied into The World to Come, meaning it's a little bit of a prequel as to what happens to Frank before we see him in The World to Come comic, which is the Joe Quesada Christopher Priest book, which still has one issue to come. This is the final issue of this one. Love the artwork. Love the interpretation of that story better than the one that in the Red Band. Love the artwork, though. The artwork by Dan Panosian, super solid. I liked it. I thought it was a really great Punisher book. Then we have Ultimate Endgame here with issue number 3. Solid issue of Ultimate Endgame. It is sad. It almost feels like the momentum for the Ultimate Universe was gone once they announced that it was ending. And I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about Ultimate Endgame. I feel like a lot of us have already moved on. I'm still curious as to what the plan is, how we're going to wrap this all up. Man, there are some moments here. There are some big moments involving Tony Stark in particular that I like a lot because we've seen it coming. However, there's a moment here I did not see coming, And I'm very curious to see how people are going to react to this, because I feel like everybody was talking about the blind bags, but then once issue number 2 came out, nobody was really talking about this book again. I think people might be talking about the book again. I don't know. I really like this issue. I really like this book. I think it's good. All right, then we got Predator, Bloodshed, issue number 2, written by Jordan Morris. You put the full names there. Artwork by Ruari Coleman. Put the full names on there. It actually helps people like me. It actually helps us. It really does. This is a silly book, right? So it's a Predator situation. So all you need to do is just put the Predator in any story situation, right? Story situation here is a fighting tournament. Yeah, a fighting tournament, like Bloodsport, Mortal Kombat, right? One of those things is going on. Then a Predator shows up right in the middle of it. Then the person putting on this tournament's like, we ain't shutting down. We got a new entry. So now he's wanting all of his fighters to continue their tournament with the Predator there. Pretty cool, right? I think it's pretty cool. I would prefer the artwork to be gritty, more textured, more gory, more like that. But I like it. I think it's a solid book. There you go. All right, let's go to some of the indies. And from Keen Spot, we have Mark Spears' Midnight Man, issue number 1, a brand new Mark Spears book written and illustrated by Mark Spears that is spinning out of the pages of Mark Spears' Monsters. How many more times can I say Mark Spears? Well, let me just say this. I got to see Mark Spears, my homie, over at MegaCon. Thank you so much for all the help, bro. Wish we got to hang out more. It was great seeing ya, and I'm happy for your success. You deserve it. You've earned it. Bask in it. Enjoy it, brother. These moments, we never know how long they last. They could be gone, like tears in rain. Anyway, Mark, I love you. Thank you so much. Here's Midnight Man, issue number 1, which dropped at MegaCon. People were excited about it. They were talking about it. I finally got to read it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. So Midnight Man is a superhero character. I believe it's one of the very first characters that Mark ever created in his young life, right? So Mark created this superhero character. He's now ingrained him into the world of Mark Spears' Monsters. I really wasn't expecting the connection and how it works. I thought that was cool. I thought that was clever. I really appreciated that. My favorite thing about this book, though, is the beginning. It's set in a comic shop, and Mark used to work at a comic shop. I worked at a comic shop with Mark, and Mark knows how people are at the comic shop, and he nailed it. And he also gets to use that situation to playfully address some criticisms that he might have heard on the internet. And I thought it was fun. I had so much fun with this book. It is firmly tied into the world of Mark Spears' Monsters. It's very superhero-y. It's got so many genre-bending elements to it, just like Monsters. This is not just a horror comic. This one's not a horror comic. It's more sci-fi, superhero. I've had a lot of fun with this one. I really did. I was laughing. Mark, you had me laughing out loud. So, there you go. Another book had me laughing out loud. Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre, issue number 2. There is a second print of issue number 1 out this week. So, if you missed out on the book, I would encourage you to check it out. If you like wild, silly, ridiculously fun books that are satirical and also express a buoyant love of the medium, right? That's what this is. I was blown away by issue number 1. I was very excited to see if that wacky and zany momentum was going to be kept going in issue number 2, and I am happy to report that, in my opinion, abso-frickin-lutely, this book is awesome, yonkers, crazy, nutso insane. It's about a drug lord who runs an amusement park, like a big giant theme park. He's developed a new formula for cocaine, get it? So a new cocaine, and then there's this, like, these two, like, drug-fighting brothers and another organization. They're coming in, they're trying to figure out blood, mayhem, massacre. Dude blows up, like, half of the frickin' amusement park. Everybody's, like, dying. Things are crazy going on. A hurricane shows up because it's in Florida. And then all the hippos all the hippopotami, they snort all the new formula of cocaine and go crazy and rampage in the middle of all of this. Do I need to say more? This book is wild. This book is so freaking crazy. So one of my favorite bits in the first issue was that all of these these random soldiers or officers or henchmen or whatever, they're all like saying stuff like they have so much to live for. It's like so cliche, and it's like this book is so funny and it knows exactly what it's doing. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't want to ruin it. My panel of the week, like laugh out loud. There was a panel here. Oh my goodness, I am not going to show you because it is one of my favorite moments in the book. There's another great moment involving windows, but when you get to the part about wasted training, you'll know what I'm talking about. This book was freaking awesome. I loved it. This is the kind of comic book that reminds me why I love reading comic books. Because you get to do shit like this. Absolutely insane. Mad Cave's killing it with that. Also with Is Ted Okay? Issue number 2, written and illustrated by David Chisholm. I really liked this book. I thought issue number 1 was good. So it's about this woman whose job is to watch this dude while he does his job, and she starts like being like, this dude ain't okay. She's worried about him. And then because of her kind of getting too into watching this dude, causes this like car accident that like a fatal accident that he shouldn't have survived, but he survived. So now she's really even more intrigued about this dude. Meanwhile, this dude is crazy a little bit. He's paranoid. He believes in all these conspiracies. He's being watched. We know that he is. We don't know why. We don't know where he works. We don't know what this company is. But he starts diving deeper and deeper into it. Issue number 1, I liked. Issue number 2 really hooked me in. Like, the artwork, the pacing, the story, the mystery, as it unfolds. It's like an utter pleasure to watch this mystery unfold, and it's a story that's being, it's unlike, it's got a tone to it that's hard to pin down, but man, it is exceptional. This is exceptional. It's really good. From Ignition Press, we have Just Brutal issue number 2. This is a book written by Dennis Hopeless with artwork by Braun Revel. Full names on the title really helps me out. That being said, issue number 1 of this was a surprise pick of the week. I loved it. I loved issue number 2 just as much. I mean, there's some solid books. There's a lot of great books today. There really are. And Is Ted Okay? Could have been the pick of the week. Florida Cocaine Cocaine Massacre could have been pick of the week. Absolute Martian Manhunter could have been pick of the week. Absolute Wonder Woman could have been pick of the week. Just Brutal could have been pick of the week. This was wild. So this is about a woman, a young lady. She got a sibling, I believe, but there's a mystery about her dad. Her dad's like never around, things like that, right? Basically, now that the first issue's out, I'll just tell you the premise, okay? She finds out that her mother and her father are like immortal barbarian lords that have to serve and protect the world. So you have all this family drama there, but then the chaotic, crazy, save the earth drama, and it's got an energy to it that's brought on especially by the artwork, but also by the frantic pace of the dialogue. It reads quick, but not too quick. It's got punchy moments of humor, and it's got true moments of pathos and nuance. This book's really good. Just Brutal is definitely one I think more people need to check out. Then we got Butch, a hate comic. This is a one-shot from Fantagraphics set in the world of hate. In particular, Hate Revisited. This is about Butch, who is the brother of our characters, Buddy and his girl, his wife. It's their brother, right? So it's just a crazy story about this dude. Man, it's Peter Bagg doing what Peter Bagg does, and so he winds up shooting at this dude and his dog, and it winds up becoming this big political conversation, and then he winds up being like a figurehead for like a right-wing political movement or something that he doesn't fully understand, and he's just there to take advantage of it. And the way it unfolds, it's chaotic, it's silly, and it's all done in that Pete Bagg way, where it's like satire, but it's like so on the nose with it. Like, it's not trying to be clever, it's trying to be like, look how stupid all this is, and it does a great job doing it, and I loved it. I thought it was really fun. Not going to be for everybody, but if you ain't easily offended, read Butch, a hate comic. And I would recommend reading everything Peter Bagge ever has done. Then we got Spirit of the Shadows, issue number 3 from Oni Press. This is written and illustrated by Nick Cagnetti with Daniel Ziegler as his co-writer. Man, I have loved this book. It's about a dude who has mysteriously returned from the dead. He's in some kind of weird superhero garb or something like that. He's got a lost love he's trying to reconnect with. There's a witch involved. The story's been ingrained in mystery and wrapped up in a beautiful package of Steve Ditko psychedelic weirdness, right? I love the art in this book. I love the coloring. It's very reminiscent of what Jave's doing, for instance, in Absolute Martian Manhunter, but it's doing its own thing, right? The book has been very intriguing and very beautiful, but here in issue number 3, we really start pulling all these threads together and start connecting these characters and the story and seeing how it all works. And that is fascinating. I didn't think that I knew the book was interesting. I knew the book was beautiful and stunning visually. I didn't realize how compelling this book would be in its developments at issue number 3, and I am more than sold. I've already been sold. Now I'm more than sold. I want 3 copies. I want a hardcover. I want all of that jazz. All right, then we got Conan the Barbarian, issue number 30, written by Jim Zub. Jim Zub, just a freaking fantastic dude. Let me just get that out of the way. Thank you, Jim, for everything. You rock. Also, your Conan the Barbarian's pretty dope. Really liked this issue. We just recently introduced a character. Could be a character from the Howard stuff. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with it, right? But Jim took time to introduce this character for a full issue, and I really loved that. Here now, we have this character stalking Conan for an entire issue. The pace of this arc has been fantastic, and the artwork by Doug Braithwaite is truly breathtaking. I have so much fun when I read Conan, and I'm always looking forward to more. And y'all, trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet. This book's got a lot of big places to go. And Jim Zub, I'm confident in you leading us there. So thank you, my friend. Conan the Barbarian, here with issue number 30, another fantastic issue. Rafael Garcia Henchman, issue number 1, is a book from Titan Comics. It's silly, it's fun, it's all right. Didn't completely win me over. It's a story that we've seen done before, but this was an interesting way to approach it. It's about the rather mundane nature of the life of a work-for-hire henchman in a supervillain, superhero-type world. So it's playing around with it. It's doing its thing. We've seen it done in other things, including, like, hell, probably capes. Honestly. But it's all right. The artwork doesn't quite work for me. That's what kind of takes an intriguing idea and concept and a decent script. Just kind of makes it not as engaging for me. So I thought this one was just all right. There is a polybag nude cover, though, so I think it should sell at least pretty well for that, right? Then we got Electric Chair, issue number 1. This is a one-shot comic book. It's by Adam Valp. This is just a weird thing, a weird, crazy, I'm saying psychedelic too much. It's just weird book, man. But I like it. But this dude's like a DJ. I guess that's the artist, and he's like mixing comics together. So you just got a bunch of like silly little short stories and just wild pages of art. And like Lou Reed, this page with Lou Reed, I loved it. Like if you're a fan of like works of like Dan Clowes or Peter Bagge, definitely check this book out. There's these 2 short strips called The Comic Dealers about these like snobby underground comic book dealers who are very like dismissive of superhero comics. Man, is really cool. And that always that double page spread makes me think of the Doggy Style album cover. Oh, this was a wild book. Man, if you like that kind of weird, wacky, wild stuff, read it. Stream of consciousness, just wild stuff. Just wild. Wild might be the book, or the word I've said the most tonight. Then we got Thundercats, issue number 25 from our friends over at Dynamite, written by Declan Shalvey with artwork by Drew Moss. This is the final issue of Thundercats for now, because there is the Thundercats Silverhawks crossover, and who knows what's happening after that. But 25 issues, Declan Shalvey has slowly deliberately and measuredly built the Thundercats up to the point of familiarity, but non-familiarity. So Thundercats are now the Thundercats, and a lot of revelations have been coming through, a lot of things have been happening, and now we're set up in a way where this book is going to start really, really freaking cooking. And of course they end it. Why to relaunch it? We're about to do that Silverhawks thing, and Declan Shalvey's doing that one. I do believe there's going to be a future for this book. I don't know that for a fact, but it would be silly not to, because it's working, and it's working pretty well. But I liked this issue. A really great, just kind of wrap up of everything and set up of what the next phase of the Thundercats are going to be. Same thing here with TMNT Shredder issue number 6. A great wrap up to this first story arc and a great setup on the direction of this book going forward. Rokusaki is a well-handled character under the writing of Dan Waters, and the artwork has been solid throughout. I think this was a really great, fantastic finish and a perfect setup for the future issues. I thought initially this was just a mini-series, and I think it could just easily be a mini-series, but when you get to the end of this book, you don't want it to be a mini-series, and thank the gods, it's not. All right, and then finally, from Boom Studios, we got Minor Arcana issue number 15. A wonderful issue of Minor Arcana. We dive into the past to learn more about the life of our main character's father. We don't know much about him. We don't know where this power of hers, of the main character, well, I can't remember her name right now, but she can like see things when she like plays around with tarot cards and stuff like that. Where does this come from? We're seeing this mystery. So this is written and illustrated by Jeff Lemire, and this is a fan-freaking-tastic issue. Tugs at the heart. It's intriguing. It's got mystery. It's got small-town melancholy. It's Jeff Lemire, and Jeff Lemire does Jeff Lemire so freaking well. And it's got a really poignant touch at the end. But the book itself is so thin and floppy. It's like thinner than toilet paper. That's really whack. But, you know, Boom Studios is going through a lot of shifting and changing right now. But Minor Arcana is a really great book that I think more people need to read and think about and maybe talk about. All right, let's rate the titles. So out of 5 possible you digs, let's go through them again, and I'll just give them a quick rating based on whatever I'm feeling in the moment. Minor Arcana, I'm going to give that one 4 you digs. Shredder, that's going to get 3.5. Thundercats, I'm going to go 3.5. Electric Chair, I'll go 4. Rafael Garcia Henchman, I'll go 3. Conan the Barbarian, I'll give that a very enthusiastic 4. Spirit of the Shadows, 4.5. Butch, a Hate Comic, 4. Just Brutal, 4.5. Is Ted okay? 5 you digs. 5 you digs. Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre, 5 you digs. There you go. Mark Spears Midnight Man, 4 you digs. Predator Bloodshed, I'm going to go 3. Yeah, 3 you digs. Ultimate Endgame, I'll go 4 on that one. Marvel Knights World to Come Punisher, 3.69 dudes. Psylocke Ninja, 2.69 dudes. If I would have thought about doing that for Psylocke ahead of time, I wouldn't have done it for the Punisher. Uncanny X-Men, I'll go 3.5. Dungeons of Doom, I'll go 2.5. Knull, 4. Iron Man, 3.5. Punisher, 3.5. Amazing Spider-Man, I'll go 2.5. Wolverine, Weapons of Armageddon, 3. Fantastic Four, 4.5. Fantastic Four, First Foes, 2. Yeah, I'll go 2. We'll go 2. Let's see. Peril of the Brutal Dark, 4.5. Detective Comics, I'll go 2. Yeah. Justice League Unlimited, I'll give that one a 3.5. Superman, 4.5. Green Lantern, a 4. Absolute Martian Manhunter, 5. Absolute Wonder Woman, 4.69. Superman, Spider-Man, I really had a lot of fun with this, and I think it did exactly what it needed to do. So I'll give that a 5 as well, even though I don't think each story was a 5, you dig, but as a whole, with the concept and how it was delivered, yeah. Gunslinger Spawn, 2.5. Final Boss, 2. Death Fight Forever, 2.5. Department of Truth, 3.5. Skinbreaker, 4. Capes, 4. Void Rivals, 3. Hyde Street, 4.5. Feral, 5. That's another potential pick of the week right there. White Sky, I'm going to go 3.5. And Phantom of the Opera, issue number 2, 5, you digs. Perfect score. That's my pick of the week. That's what I read. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm digging. What are you reading? What are you thinking? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to help support the channel, you can do so by becoming a member and unlock videos that haven't been seen to the public unless you're a member of PCP. Like my thoughts on the entirety run of The Immortal Thor by Al Ewing. I have that video up for members right now. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Station, keep on reading. Pop, pop, boom!